I'm Jamie Stalcuff, Senior Associate Editor of TV Formats, and I'm joined by the lovely Patton Oswalt, host of Prime Video's The 1% Club. Hello, it's so great to meet you.
How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So, this is your first time hosting a game show, which also happens to be the first ever game show for Prime Video. What was that experience like for you, and what have you learned from taking on this role that you'll apply to all of your other endeavors?
Well, the experience was fascinating because it's like, as a comedian, I do a lot of crowd work, but this is
Mhm.
crowd work amplified because the audience is the contestants, 100 people, and you just kind of have these stories and ongoing narratives that you have to keep jumping in and out of as the game goes along. And you end up being very, very surprised because the game is more about how does your brain work rather than how much information have you put up there. So someone who is working part-time as a barista ends up smoking someone who has 3 PhDs. And so everyone, including me, is equally surprised at the people who end up going for the 100 grand. Like, wow. And even they're like, did not think it was going to end up here. So seeing that kind of thrillingness, that's not a word. That kind of surprise and
Makes
tension is
sense.
really okay, good. Well, then you know what? Thrillingness. I'm coining it.
And the 1% Club aired in the UK originally, and
Yes.
adaptations have been secured in various other territories. What advice would you give to others who may be hosting their local adaptations? What are the keys to being a good host for this show?
The key to being a good host is to be curious and enthusiastic about the people that you're talking to. Like, oh, you're meeting new people and their stories tend to be kind of surprising. So make that more the point of the show rather than let's get to if you're just trying to plow through the questions and this isn't a show where the host is just firing off questions and then getting answers. This is more, it's a whole bunch of people meeting for the first time. We're all going back and forth. Do it more that way. It's a conversation rather than a foot race.
Got it. The human connection is the
The
important
hu the human connection. I enjoy that.
thing. In addition to hosting, how else, if at all, have you been involved in production behind the scenes?
I mean, the thing is, there's not that much behind the scenes. We don't really pre-write. I mean, we pre-write some of the banter at the beginning or end, the intro, but in between, I'm just talking to people and riffing off of them. And you can't really pre-write what you're going to say to them joke-wise because you don't exactly know what their answers to your questions will be. You try to be open enough to just kind of go with it.
And what about this game show do you think is going to connect with American audiences? And what also makes it universal?
Well, the thing that I think will connect with American audiences is it really puts into stark relief how people's brains work so much more differently than how we are graded in schools, in colleges, on tests. Logic and intuition are not the same as rote memorization. So you will see a lot of the leveling of the field as far as what is considered smart and what is considered not smart. And I think universally, you just realize because none of the questions are American centric. It is just how do you approach life? And I think, people anywhere, whether it's in France or Mogadishu, would look at these questions and go, oh, you got to listen to the question, listen to the logic of it, and then put it together that way. And some people's brains are wired to excel at certain kinds of questions, and some people's brains are wired to not excel. So people who will go out on an 80% question and get that one wrong, but they stay there watching the game and they're like, I knew the 5%, I knew the 1%. It's crazy. It's crazy to see that happen.
Well, I can't wait to see this version of the 1% Club. Like you said, it really evens the playing field, which is really refreshing to see in a game show.
Thank you. Wow. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
My pleasure.